Alright, hello. So, it's time to talk about Mag. And because I feel like I kind of need to reiterate this before we talk about Mag and how bad her rework is, I want Mag to be good. I do not hate Mag. I think Mag is really cool conceptually, and she could be really good and fun. And I like her design. I specifically like this Alata skin, to be fair. But I want this Warframe to be good. I do not hate this Warframe. I do not hate this Warframe. Just so we're clear. They just don't work very well. I want that to be just clear right off the top here, because I have to reiterate it a lot, because people think Excal is my favorite Warframe, and that I hate Saren, and that's super not true on both ends. So, let's get started. Alright, so, Mag's rework. It's very bad. It's really not great. Mag can do one thing. But let's talk about what changed with her abilities, because we should go over it. So, her 2 and her 3 switch positions. Polarize got moved up, and is now a 3. It's now complete and total dog shit. It is a terrible ability that doesn't really do much of anything past, like, little baby level enemies. I mean, you could probably use it on Draco to some effect, but, I mean, you can use fucking anything on Draco, and Draco is, like, a baby level anyway, so whatever. And then Magnetize is no longer Bullet Attractor, it is Magnetize. This synergizes with your other abilities, even though your other abilities are bad. So there's no reason to have the synergy there, so that's fine. And this is your best ability. Magnetize is, like, the best ability that Mag has, even though it could use some tweaks to make it, like, actually good and consistent and defensive and some other things. Pull has remained most of the same, except for now you can have enemies drop energy, and it gives more damage whenever you use it with Magnetize. Pull was never, like, insane, but it's a good one. This is fine, but, like, ones are just, in general, just not good. Like, what's the exception? Like, Atlas is an exception to the ones are kinda bad rule. And then Crush. Crush was given, like, synergy with Magnetize for 1500 extra damage. Turns out, Crush is bad, and it has stayed bad. It's been bad the whole time. They're, like, when was this good? Like, update 6? Like, this has been not good for so long. It's so slow, and it doesn't really do anything. Even with the augment, it's like, whatever. It's basically a nothing ability, because it just takes too damn long, and you're usually gonna die when you're using it. So, Mag's stuff is just really rough. I'm gonna show, like, what you can do with Magnetize, even though it's super, like, weird, glitchy bullshit that you should probably, like, things shouldn't actually probably interact the way that they do, but they're being left this way, as it, like, so people can be like, oh yeah, this is the way you're supposed to use Mag, is to not use her 1, her 3, and her 4, and only use her 2 with this specific subset of weaponry, which I'm sure is so good. Like, what great design. Clearly, it's the intent of the devs, like, that's for sure. But let's actually, like, talk about what's up here. So this build here, this is Mag's old build. I've kept this here just for reference. This is what you would use to, like, pop a bunch of Corpus Shields and just generally play around. Or, well, this is what I used for just, like, general play anyway. And just being able to do a lot of things. This build doesn't work anymore, basically. It's like, you need duration now, because your duration is what affects the distance that your Polarize goes, if you even wanted to use that, if it was any good. And range affects your 2 now for your Magnetized bubble size, and it affects your 4 for that range, and it's 1 for that range, so you're either doing Shield Polarize or your other stuff, and only Magnetize is any good of your other stuff, so there's that. This is the build that I will actually use with Mag to show, like, the thing that she can do. Basically, you dunk Power Strength because none of her abilities, like, need Power Strength anymore because her Shield Polarize doesn't scale, and the rest of her abilities do, like, shit nothing damage. So this is the way to be with that. And then finally, we have this build. So this build right here, this is just to show how bad Shield Polarize is now. So, last time, the last video, the Corpus Killer Mag video, back whenever she was a Corpus Killer, this was the build I was using to show that. to kill those enemies, the level 105 elite crewmen and stuff. This is what was killing those enemies, and it left like 1 or 2 stragglers. You can go back and check that video if you don't believe me. It's up, publicly available for everyone to see. This, because the distance is based on duration now, obviously I put a bunch of duration in, and I put myself up to 284% power strength. I could put myself to 299, but I won't be able to cast this ability more than once if I don't have Prime Flow. So, yeah. Actually, you know what? Let's just do that. There it is. There you go. For the sake of doing it, there's 299% power strength. This is as high as you can get without an arcane helmet, so let's show what this does. Before I even put enemies here, is what it does. It's a big wave of shield polarize that goes out and will hit armor and shields for damage. That's what this does. And it's terrible. Which we will see. It's level 104. Let's just do the exact same test from before. The elite crewmen. Yeah, I think it was 20 of them. I have to stay up here because I have to be able to cast this thing. These guys will run at me. It might kill one of them. Nice. Didn't even kill these, like, basic nothing enemies. At 300% power strength. These basic, like, nothing enemies. Like, these enemies are some of the weakest in the game. And I had to wait for their shields to recharge to kill a couple of them. Like, what? What? Shield polarize is, like, useless. And just for the sake of doing so, let's show it on Grineer armor, because this is just comedic. Let's go with regular elite lancers. Oh yeah, I can search here now. I forgot. There we go. There we go. Oh baby, these enemies sure are afraid of me. I can do so much here. Oh, they threw a grenade up here. Oh, there goes Mag. Yeah, so this ability is clearly perfect. Clearly nothing could be better about this. Like 300% power strength. Like, just doing great. It's perfect. 300% power strength. 300%. 300% power strength. I don't know what I was trying to do there. It's just... basically, like, this is useless. There's no reason to use this. At all. Like, this doesn't kill, like, basic fodder enemies. It's definitely not killing any heavies or anything anymore. So yeah, this is like a complete trash ability. So let's move over to the one thing that she does have. And also, like, her 1, this is fine. And like, what this does is okay. And whatever. But like, her 4, even with natural talent, this is too damn slow, and it doesn't do enough. So, there's no reason to like ever use this, ever. There's no reason for it. Use a weapon that is good instead. Like, any, like, decent weapon. Synoid Simulor does this thing's job times a million. Put blast damage on it, game over. And it's about 100 million times faster, too. So, don't even try and use this ability. It's still garbage. They added a little bit of damage to it. It's still complete trash, though. On the other hand, we have her 2, plus specifically the Lanka. So... if you combine her 2 with a Lanka, and you're in a sort of specific environment, there can't be, like, walls too close. If there's, like, stuff in the middle that's, like, pillars and stuff, it doesn't really work as well, and there's a lot of factors that can kind of bring this down. But in this, like, raw testing environment, this actually works. This is the, like, super basic thing I'm using on the Lanka. There's not much here. It's just gas damage, because that's what you need. Speed trigger so I can fire this a little faster. So there's a specific interaction with Magnetize, and it's that if you're using a Lanka, the Lanka's bullet will bounce around inside Magnetize and be super, super buggy. And because I put gas damage on it, it will keep hitting and can keep proccing gas, and it turns out if you can do high damage and proc gas a bunch, gas is actually okay. So let's show it. This is the dream scenario. You can see that the bullet just bounces around in there until everything's dead. That's the dream scenario, is to be able to have that happen. The actual scenario is, I don't know if Mag will be able to survive this at all. Wait, whoops. Okay, we'll respawn those guys. Alright. Walk close to me and get near this pillar. This pillar pretty much like nullifies this entire thing. It might still work right there. Yeah, it still works right there. They're enough in the middle. Basically, if the center of this bubble is too close to this pillar will eat it because it eats the punch through on the shot. Which means that, like, doing this on enemies that are close to walls, which, spoiler alert, there are a lot of fucking walls in Warframe, and there's, like, areas that are big and open like this are actually really uncommon. So it's not consistent to do that. Also, here's my Lex. We all know that this Lex does tons of damage. So let's show what this does with the Lex. Because it does probably what this ability was intended to do whenever you use the Lex, because it's just a basic hit scan weapon. Although this does a ton of damage. This is probably what the actual intent of Magnetize was. And this is terrible. So for any hit scan weapon, this is not worth using. There are some other weapons that this is worth using, but like, if you're not specifically going out of your way to just like get a Lanka and like fucking just do this stupid shit and do this glitchy bullshit, then there's no real actual reason to even use a Magnetize build, and then there's no reason to use a shield polarized build, and there's no reason to use Crush like ever. And like pull is okay in some scenarios, but not really that many. So what does Mag do now? Oh yeah, she does only this. This is the only redeeming thing that you could say about Mag, is that she's got the ability to do this with the Lanka. So why would you use this Warframe? You wouldn't, ever. It's just terrible. Like there's no, like if we just look at Mag, like what are Mag Prime's basic stats? 150 shields, and it's above average. Sure, shields are the worst thing you can have in this entire section, but whatever, you got some extra shields. Basic power. For a caster Warframe, having a basic level of power, not fucking great. Basic level of health, whatever. Pretty normal, sure, why not? And then 65 armor. So she's not hard to kill by like any, like you can super murder a Mag. Like she is very squishy. She's on like the lower end of squishiness, and she's a caster who should be relying on her powers to both survive and deal damage, and she doesn't, because her powers are bad. Like, her 3 is not defensive, it's not offensive, because it's trash at the level where you actually have any danger of dying. Her 4 is too slow and will get you killed probably more often than not. Her 1, still okay, admittedly, and her 2 is inconsistent, and it can only be used effectively with a small subset of weapons. So, if you compare what Mag is doing to the other... Let's compare only with other female caster Warframes. Warframes that rely on their abilities, not any outstanding stats or ability to take damage. So, Mag is trying to compete with Nova, Nyx, Mirage, Ivara, let's say Ivara, Ember, and Banshee. And she can't compete with any of these characters. Banshee is a fucking million miles better than Mag is right now. Ember has crowd control abilities that will keep her alive way longer than Mag will actually survive for, unless you get like some lucky camping with your Mag with your 2. Ivara, great defensive abilities with her 3, high damage with her 2 and her 4, and her 1 has good utility. Like, Mirage still has her blind. Her Eclipse is really good. Her 1 is really good. Her 2 is shit, admittedly, for Mirage, but you got 3 out of 4 on that one, as opposed to kind of 1 out of 4 on Mag. Nova Prime. This Warframe is almost perfect. The only thing that needs to be tweaked on this Warframe is her 1. Her 4 is amazing, her 3 is great, and her 2 is amazing. Nova is a fantastic Warframe. Nyx. Super high crowd control. Like, that's what Nyx does. Ability to go invincible in, like, tight situations with her 4. Like, there's... Mag can't compete with these characters. At all. Like, there's nothing that Mag is bringing to the table that you would actually ever want, besides maybe how she looks. And it's just... It's baffling to me. Like, a mediocre, as usual 1, a 2 that has to be exploited to be any good, a 3 that is now completely useless on an ability that used to be very powerful, which admittedly kind of deserved to be, like, nerfed down to, like, a reasonable level at high end, where it's like, oh, what are we doing here? Well, this ability just clears trash mobs now. We've made it so this ability will clear trash mobs up to, like, let's say 150 if you build for it. Okay, sure, it's a trash mob clear. That would be cool, but it doesn't even clear trash mobs, so there's no fucking reason to use this. And then Crush. This ability was always bad. Like, since like update 12, let's say, this ability has been bad since we had access to other options. And it's just, like, the extra damage, there's nothing... Like, this damage is nothing. If you have that pure power strength build, let's go look at that again. Abilities. Alright, let's say they're in Magnetize. Like, let's say there's some fucking circumstance where they're in that 1 meter of Magnetize. And let's say there's 100. Let's say there's 100 of these guys in there. This ability, still not doing that much damage. Actually. Like, considering the setup and the build needed, this ability is still not doing that much damage per second. Because this thing takes, like, 3 seconds to cast. You're actually not doing that much. Considering all the factors you're putting into it. At this power strength, you're not doing that much. And it's just baffling to me. And obviously we saw Polarize not doing very much. Like, nearly nothing, essentially. And I just don't understand. I don't understand, like, these abilities could work together in such a good way, or they could have changed what Mag's role is as a character. Like, what is the interesting thing that Mag can do? Well, her Polarized restores shields and removes enemy defenses. Okay, let's remove all the damage from it and make it so that it's possible to strip 100% armor and remove the shields, but it doesn't actually do any damage beyond that. So basically softens up enemies a ton, and it'll give your allies tons of overshields and stuff. That's a really interesting ability. Magnetize. What if you could magnetize areas and make it so bullets can't be used in that area, and like just CC and crowd control, and be like, oh, I just put down this area where guns don't work, so now Mag is a little bit more melee heavy. And then have, like, Crush just be just taken out and made into something the fuck else. And then Pull can remain the same, because that's, like, a good flavor move that is still, like, a relatively good one. There's all these things you could do with Mag that are just not here. Like, there's just a bunch of useless shit with one exploitable ability. And it's worse than Hydroid in a lot of cases. Like, at least Hydroid has good ways to stay alive, if nothing else. But yeah, I guess, I don't know. This Mag rework is incredibly disappointing to me. And it just doesn't do enough. It just doesn't, it doesn't really do anything. And comparing her to Volt and Excalibur is a fucking embarrassment. And all the starter Warframes should be good. But, yeah, I guess that's the end of this rant. And I'll see you guys tomorrow.